Hey, party people! Welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I am your host as always, Jeff Stormer, and this week on the show, I am joined by Kienna for a game of neither heaven nor hell. Inspired by Good Omens, particularly the TV show adaptation and particularly the scene in which Azrael and Crowley cross paths throughout history, Neither Heaven Nor Hell tells the story of, well, basically exactly that. It is the story of a angel and a demon, or of two otherworldly beings who are in a forbidden relationship, crossing paths in tiny stolen moments across history. It is very cool, very fun. I loved playing it. I can't wait for you to hear it. You can find more information about Neither Heaven Nor Hell in the show notes. Kienna, on top of being the game's designer, is also a tabletop RPG streamer, academic, and co-author of the tabletop role-playing game Safety Toolkit, all of which you can find more information about in the show notes. It's all stuff you should check out. I thoroughly recommend all of it. It's great. Check it out. Follow Kienna on Twitter at KiennaS. They're great. I'm a big fan of their work. And with that, why don't we go ahead and get into it, and we'll throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. This week, I am joined by Kienna Shaw. Kienna, thank you so much for coming on Party of One.
Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you on the show. This is going to be very, very fun. I've been looking forward to this particular game for a little while, so, I'm extremely hype. So real quick, at the top of the show, why don't you take a moment to let the lovely listeners at home know both about the game that we're playing this week, as well as anything else you've got going on that you might want them to know about.
Yeah, so Heaven Nor Hell was created for the 2019 game, a game as in spelled gay, and then M-E at the end, Jam, which is with the Pride Tabletop Jam that was happening in June. It is a game inspired by Good Omens. That sequence of seeing the two main characters go through time and see the relationship develop, I watched that, I'm like, oh, game? Can I make game from this?
Big mood.
So,
watching a thing and going, yes, I will take this.
Yeah, so it's a queer romance game. It's only a couple pages long, very minimal mechanics, all prompt-based, and very narrative and character-focused. So it's this very cute little gay game. And in terms of other stuff I do, people would know me on the internet, doing all sorts of role-playing things. I do streaming over on my channel, Salty Sweet Games. I do designing, both freelance and self-published stuff, on Itch.io. I am also the co-creator of the tabletop RPG, Safety Toolkit. So those are generally the things I work on when I'm on the internet, being a person.
You know, I get it. Those are all wonderful things, and I also understand the I do a lot of different things. Again, big mood.
Yep.
Big mood of I got a lot of stuff. It's a commonality, let me tell you. All right, so I am extremely excited. This is a game that scratches a lot of itches for me, so I'm super hyped.
Yay. So
why don't we go ahead and dive right in?
Yeah. Yeah. So Heaven Nor Hell opens up with a little poem, I guess, you could say, where it says, "They say it's unnatural, not right, this feeling in your heart, but you know in the end, neither heaven nor hell shall keep you apart." So yeah, so we play two otherworldly immortal beings split across heaven and hell, or whatever equivalent of dichotomy in celestial planes stuff, who have a relationship with each other, and they can only ever meet on Earth every few however many years.
Sure.
So we it's very non-linear. You kind of skip to whatever time period, whatever country or city or town or village, whatever that's happening. Yeah, and so there are three truths of this game, which is 1, you love each other. 2, the powers that be most definitely wouldn't approve of your relationship. And 3, there's only one place that is safe to meet, and that is Earth.
I love it. I love it. I love it a lot. I'm extremely excited. This is good. This is good.
Yeah. And yeah, and the whole thing is, again, we're together. We are collaboratively telling the story of this relationship.
Yep.
In these like little hidden moments that they're able to steal away from the watchful eyes that are the powers that be.
So the first thing that we're going to do is we have to create our otherworldly characters. We are going to create characters that are either angelic, demonic, or something else entirely. They can be pulled from whichever mythologies we like. We're going to choose their name, their pronouns, and a notable trait that is consistent across all forms and time. Do you have any thoughts? Because I have a name. I have a name
Okay.
and pronouns, but I have to think about a notable trait.
Cool. So do we want to do an angel demon kind of thing? Or we could do something completely different too. Like if we, yeah.
So the name and pronouns I thought of fits very well with an angel. It could also switch into something like a fae or some sort of otherworldly eldritch sort of being like that. My character's name is Norm, which is of course short for the hidden and magical wonder that hides behind all things mundane and normal.
Oh my god.
You can call me Norm.
Oh, that's so good.
I know, right? I was driving home and I was like, what's the most extra name I could think of? And I feel like, honestly, I think I've outdone myself.
I applaud you for being able to remember that whole thing.
I think I got it wrong, but I'm not going to correct it. I think we just go with it. Because I don't think I'm going to try and say it again.
It probably changes. Like,
oh, it so does. Yeah.
The only thing that ever stays the same is the normal.
Mm-hmm. Only so that I can shorten it to Norm. Like, that was a conscious decision.
Yeah.
I insist on fitting that in somewhere.
Even if it's, like, not the most elegant sounding.
Yeah. I gotta work it in somehow.
Okay, yeah. I think I like the Angel Demon's a good classic dynamic. Also considering the game is called Heaven or Hell. So. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think I will go the demony route then.
Cool.
Names are always hard.
I think I want... Oh, go ahead.
Let's go with Vesper.
Okay, I like it.
And Norm's pronouns are...
Norm's pronouns are he, his.
Okay. I think Vesper is she, her.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, because otherworldly beings are not bound to gender the same way that other things might be. So they often are beyond the construct of gender, but they can still choose to take on whatever pronouns and presentation they feel is right for them.
Sure.
And also the thing is that the name and pronouns can change over time.
Yeah. I have a feeling Norm changes pronouns at least like once or twice, because I think that the constant trait is ironic considering that he is the beauty and wonder that is behind all things mundane and normal. I think his trait is that he is like high fashion. I think his trait is that he is extra because his role in the cosmos is putting that beauty behind ordinary things. So
right.
So my responsibility is naturally that I must be as beautiful as possible.
Oh, I love that. What is the feature that Vesper always has across forms and time?
Because I feel like that's the harder thing for me than a name. Like the name literally just popped into my head because I was in a traffic jam. But like thinking of a trait, I was like, dang.
Yeah, because it's an anchor for the players to kind of be like, okay, considering these characters can change however they look or whatever they're like. It's definitely having something there to kind of latch onto is important. What's something?
I think I'm going to add to my trait.
Yeah.
The glistening of morning dew, like,
oh my god,
shimmer. Like there's a little bit of like shimmering morning dew that is just around in spaces that I inhabit. I have the option to dial it back, but I choose to dial it forward.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta.
You gotta. We get one shot at this.
Okay, I think, for Vesper, she always has a prosthetic hand of some form. I think, it may look different, depending on the technology of the time.
Sure.
But I think that she always, her left hand is a prosthetic.
I like that. That's very cool.
Yeah. Cool. So that's the basics of her characters down.
Great.
And the next little bit of setup is talking about safety tools.
Yes.
Because safety is important at the table.
Absolutely.
So I believe that we already discussed lines and veils.
Yes, indeed.
And we also, we have stuff like saying, hey,
Yeah.
X card that, maybe.
Yeah. I figure we always use line or cut and break just because this is an audio medium, and I think it gives us a nice verbal way to say, and we can kind of use that a little bit like an X card or a support flower, where it's, it can be both like a, hey, this is either a break or a cut, but we can also just be like, let's break a little bit, let's shift a little bit, it is a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So safety is built into this game. Of
course.
And it's a important part of setup, making sure that everyone's on the same page.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome. And then afterwards, we get to make the beginnings of this relationship. Because they gotta start from somewhere.
Yes. And so we are going to answer a few questions about our partner, which I love. I like that we're answering questions about each other, because that means that these are details that we are sort of putting on the other person, and I like that mechanic in sort of a romantic relationship.
Yeah, because, sometimes your partner will see something in you that you don't see on yourself, or it's always that aspect of the other person's perspective. Yeah. So the questions. The first one would be, what did you notice first about your partner when you first met?
I noticed that you knew everybody.
Okay. You
just, there was an energy about you. And granted, this was during, the grand war between Satan and the power above, right? Like this was the angel war was when we first crossed paths. So like that's a very specific thing to notice. But I noticed that like there was a friendliness even among on the enemy side. Like, you would cross swords with an angel and they would smile and you would banter a little bit in a way that seemed to undercut the fact that we were all fighting, right? Like there was a chumminess and a camaraderie that I thought was charming and was completely knocked me off balance of your ability to maintain that sort of warmth and friendliness with people that were on the opposite sides of the most cosmic battle that has ever been fought.
Yeah. Okay, I like that a lot. I think I noticed how, like, how to describe, not just graceful, but like not above it all, but almost untouched.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I got it. Almost ethereal, right?
Yeah,
like a sort of, I kind of floated on the breeze.
Yeah, basically. And I think that contrasted against, the fighting.
Yeah.
Which probably, like, very eye-catching. And, like, I think it was just this, spot of just calm and just, like, beauty, probably, in the midst of war. So I think that's definitely a big part of that.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's very good.
Yeah.
So when did you realize you loved them?
And again, some of these might be answered more in depth in play.
Sure.
So we can be as detailed as we want to be with this.
I think I think I'm gonna keep it vague, and then
Mhm.
this will be something that we sort of discover more in a scene, probably. But I think it's when I saw that you were more tying in a little bit with the previous answer, when I saw that people, whether that be mundane or otherworldly, were more important than ideals or causes. When I saw that was truly sort of where your heart and compassion were, like, that struck me, and that was the thing that made me fall in love.
Ooh, that's really cute.
And then we'll kind of leave the specifics of
Yeah.
that for sort of when we see something unfold in play.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, it would be the first time you laughed at one of my jokes.
Very good. Very, very good.
I think that's the moment.
Yep. That feels right.
Yeah. All right. And now we get to decide, what do you find endearing about them? I'm going to say your eagerness.
Mm.
Yeah, just that driving energy.
I like that.
Kind of that positive, and yeah, the eagerness. That's what I'm going to go with.
I'm going to go with your enthusiasm, which is not immediate, but when it happens, it is unstoppable. Like, you are very reserved until you find that something is, like, until it takes you a little bit to get excited or invested in something, but the second you become invested in it, it is the single most important thing in the world. And seeing that level of, like, well, then I have to move heaven and earth to celebrate this thing, is adorable.
Awesome. I like that a lot.
I like this game already. This is very good.
Yeah. So with that, that's our setup done.
All right.
And the game plays out with as many scenes as we want to happen, which is great. Makes it super easy to play, very short games or very long games. So the game plays out in scenes, upon which we together at the beginning, we get to create where our characters meet. So there's a bunch of questions there that we will go through.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So what time period is it?
So I would like to float a suggestion.
Yeah.
Based on a brief comment that you made as you were describing Vesper's hand, I would love to start out a scene in, like, the cyberpunk future.
Oh, yeah, I love that. We can be as non-linear as we want to be. So
that's what I figured. I figured we can hop back and forth. Why not take that for a ride?
Awesome. I love that. All right. So in the cyberpunk future, where are we in the world?
Do you have a preference?
The cyberpunk future is interesting because countries as we know them may not be the same thing. Let's just be safe and we'll go with North America-ish.
Sure. Somewhere in the grand unified American conglomerate. Sure.
Yep. All right.
It's shot in Vancouver. It's all the same.
It's shot in Vancouver or in Toronto. Either one. All right. So from there, within the vague North American location, what mundane place have we found ourselves in?
What if it's one of those very kind of cyberpunk space elevators, like, you know, the city, the block one, so it's a platform where we see like the skyline of the city kind of underneath it. And we just see like a very Blade Runner-esque city, and we're like slightly above it with like floor to ceiling glass windows and like coffee shops with big blaring lights around us.
Yeah.
But it also feels slightly shopping mall-esque.
Okay, yeah, I love very consumerist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Love that. And finally, who else is around? Because that the tension of this game is the potential of being caught. Who else is around?
Do we want to maybe pick like a mundane and a supernatural element to like add to the who else is around?
We can be, yeah, I'm down for that. We can be as around with, as flexible with that if we want to be.
Because the one thing that I wanted to add, just to really throw, you know, just throw as much as we can into the story, is some element of the like the singularity, which has ascended into sort of supernatural heaven hell status in the cyberpunk future.
Oh, it's been like deified.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
The singularity, the machine consciousness has ascended to divinity, and so like it is also present in this conflict at this point in history.
Ooh, I like that a lot. Okay, so is it like a all watching, all knowing kind of like it's because surveillance cameras everywhere? Like...
Yeah, it's all camera. It's all cameras, all TV screens. Like there's that moment where someone in a commercial looks like they're looking directly at you because they're looking a little too centered at the camera lens, and it's like that feeling is the singularity watching.
Oh, yes. Awesome.
Like I said, we could dial it back, or...
No.
We can dial it forward.
Which just be as extra as possible.
That's the goal. That's the goal at all times.
Okay, yeah. I like that. So I think we're technically in this elevator, just the two of us, but because it's all glass.
Yeah.
There's the singularity watching, and there's like all the other people in this mall that are doing whatever cyberpunky things they're doing.
Yeah. So now we're going to roll a 10-sided dice, which I have in front of me, and we will we're going to pick a theme for this scene, and then we'll play it out with as much or as little role playing as we like. And then once we feel that the scene is done, we're going to ask each other some questions to kind of set up the next scene.
Yeah.
I rolled a 5, which is an order.
Whew. And this can be one of us, or we got to discuss the exact how does this play in. So maybe one of us has an order to do something, or both of us do, and they're conflicting, or someone else has an order that is connected with us in some way.
Okay, I think I have a setup.
Okay.
I guess the question I want to throw to you at the very start of this is, were we planning and I think this will color maybe Vesper's like role in the scene a little bit, or like your view, like your disposition throughout the scene. But was this a planned meeting between the two of us?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay. Yeah, I like that, because I
just
think
because nothing said like accidental meeting, like walking into the same elevator.
So I think I am already on the elevator, like the elevator doors. So I think we start with the elevator doors opening, and I'm already there. I'm already there, like when you are boarding. What were you doing just before you walk on the elevator and see me?
I think I was just having like I don't know. I was just having a coffee with somebody. It was very much like, I'm just here to just hang out and...
Perfect, because I think I'm here on orders, which is very good.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I guess we start with the Vesper walking in.
Yep, we start with you walking in, coffee in hand. There is a slight, there's a slight fogginess to the elevator as, crisp morning dew settles on glass pane.
Somehow.
And then also as you walk on, you notice that, the flickering lights of computer screens are just, are sparkling in just such a way that it is, it's a bit like watching fireflies. There's just this little tiny rhythm to how the lights on the computer are flickering as I'm standing there, and I am, very stern-faced until I see you, and then, immediately that melts away, and I'm like, hello. Well, this is... I must say, I thought I was here for business, and this has changed.
Hello, Norm.
So, are you here as part of... And I pause for a moment, and I look to the left and right. Are you here for work, or are you here for play?
I was literally just here to get some coffee. And just see what was going around.
Did you go to the Neo Starbucks?
Yeah, I'm trying out their, and, lifts up the cup and, examines the label as if she had totally forgotten what she'd ordered. Triple shot venti, with the new blue sparkle thing in it.
So the blue sparkle thing is, if you didn't get it, I would have told you to get off of this elevator and go get it. Let me tell you, it is perfect. I don't want to take too much credit for it, but when the first kind of barista experimented with it, it was maybe for a cup with Norm on it, and maybe just a little bit of magic got in there. So just a little,
Did you magic the entire ingredient batch?
Just the process, and more of the process of creating it, the joy in doing a good job, that added a little bit of magic to the recipe itself. It's look, I don't want to say that I'm extremely proud of it, but I'm at least very proud of it.
Vesper takes a very small sip from it. No, it would explain why it tastes so sweet.
Yeah, well, we all have our preferences.
And I think she reaches out with her left hand to press the floor that she was going to go on.
Mm-hmm.
I think her hand in this time is extremely, of course, very cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is black metal and shaped it basically looks just like a humanoid hand.
Mm-hmm.
But the joints are all they're RGB light up because of course they are.
Sure. Yeah. No. Of course they are. They're not going to not be.
Yeah. You got to be as flashy as possible.
Right. Of course.
So I think they seem like fairly normal matte black until she bends her fingers to press the button, and then it showcases the joints that way. And then
I think that as you press the button for your floor, you notice that there is a small piece of glass that is lit up that is very clearly not an elevator button, but it is lit up in the place of where on a row where an elevator button would be, it follows the button rows. Yeah. But it's lit in a space where there's clearly not a button.
Yeah. I think Vesper will raise a brow.
You never asked if I was here for work or play. There's not really anything I can say.
You mentioned it when I walked in, so, was kind of waiting for you to expand on it.
I like it. I'm sure I've told you I like that about you. I like that you don't push the issue.
And she nods and smiles, and I think takes a small side step closer. And and leans a little bit like, so am I going to know, or we just leave that for now?
I kind of run my finger along some of the morning dew, and you see some condensation start to form along, like, the ridges of, like, the elevator panel, and for, like, just a moment, like, it goes, like, it kind of shudders and goes dark, and all the lights turn out. I'm like, that's the really great thing about morning dew, is it does not play well with electric. The short answer is, this, and I gesture to the elevator, is, well, there's negotiations happening. We need to establish, I say we, I guess the above needs to establish, intent and, what's the polite way to say battle lines?
With, and like, Vesper kind of waves her hand a little bit to point upwards.
Yes, I think it, and Norm, like, gestures to the two of us. They need to know where this whole cyber thing fits into, this whole situation.
Well, it's about time that, the duo dynamic got shaken up a little bit.
Right? Honestly, as much as I hate being given orders to serve as a diplomat in these things, it is kind of exciting to see the changes happening.
It is. And maybe this will provide us a common ground? Common enemy?
And I think he leans a little closer and smiles a little bit deviously and says, from what initial talks I've had with, there's no sensible way to say that I had a talk with the elevator, but I had a talk with the elevator.
You had a talk with the elevator.
I know. You'd think it wouldn't be the weirdest thing that I found myself in 14,000 years, and yet. But it sounds a bit like, there may be more neutral ground than either of us expected.
Well, that's good. It'll keep above and below a little occupied.
That's, suffice it, and I think as I'm saying this, the elevator starts to shudder a little bit as, like, backup systems kick in. Suffice it to say, I've been given my orders, and I intend to follow them to the best of my ability.
And you haven't failed yet.
Yeah, well, not that anyone knows about.
Yeah, except for the times that you've let me get away with things.
I resent the implication. I've put every resource at my disposal into pursuing you to the ends of the earth and beyond.
Yes, of course. And she'll smile up at him, and she'll boop him on the nose with her.
I think I blush, and, like, the sparkles kick in a little brighter.
Yeah.
And I think that's when the door opens to where you're going, and I'm standing there, like, and that light, like, glows a little more red. I'm like, well, duty awaits.
If you have some time before you have to return back to head office after the talks, I'll be over right by the gardens.
Yes, of course. I'm sure. Well, I mean, these negotiations take, hours and hours, and the singularity being what it is, the level of detail in their spreadsheets. Who's, I'm gonna be tied up for hours and hours. I mean, heaven heaven forbid, I find a few minutes lost in a spreadsheet somewhere. Stranger things have happened, I suppose. And the door slides shut, and you see me adjust my extremely cool cyberpunk jacket.
Hell yeah.
And I think as the door closes, I believe that is the end of the scene.
Yay. All right. So when we decide that the scene is done, we got to ask each other one of the following questions. The options being, how do you say goodbye? Are you looking forward to seeing me again? And what promise do you make to me?
I would like to ask you, what promise do you make to me? And this can be like a brief moment, like in the gardens after. Shockingly, I find some time.
I can't imagine how or why. I'm gonna say, I promise that next time, I'm gonna get Neo Starbucks to make something that you'll like.
I love that. I love that a ton.
I'm gonna ask the same question. What promise do you make to me?
I think I promise that there will be many, many, many negotiations and deliberations with the singularity to come.
Awesome.
I love it.
All right. And from there, we may decide to move on to the next scene or move on to the end of the game.
I think I'd like another scene.
I think so, too. Okay, so we got to go back to the beginning. What time period are we in?
Which time? What time period would you like to play out?
I think I want to go like complete opposite. I think we're going to be in the some vague medieval.
I love it.
Age.
Yep.
All right. And where are we in the world?
I think we are in somewhere Nordic. It's a lot of furs and it's icy out. Maybe somewhere between like the Nordic countries, maybe into Russia. It's somewhere where it's dark, furry, muddy. It's shot with a blue gel on the camera, so everything has that bluish washover.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Love that. What mundane place have we found ourselves in? I want to say that we are in I think there's a banquet going on, or like a feast of some form.
Okay.
So I think we're in a banquet hall, I guess.
Like a very Beowulf-esque,
yes,
like
extremely
mead hall.
Beowulf.
Yeah, big Beowulf energy.
Yeah, so like it's there's a huge fire, there's a really long table, with all the chairs set up. There's a lot of wine and food and whatever else that's going on here.
I love it.
And who else is around?
I think there's just people, just tons of people. There's chicken legs being thrown overhead. It's people singing songs, splashing flagons. Like we are hidden in plain sight among people.
Yeah, I think this is like a midwinter festival.
Yeah,
that's going on. It's like you know what? I think it's going to be the winter solstice.
I love it. Yep.
So that's winter solstice in the middle of this banquet hall. Everything else going on.
I had a thought on what on how Norm was extra.
Yeah.
But I now think that it's now that it's winter solstice, I think it's like sword and sorcery Santa Claus. I think it's like red and white furs, like with a big white cape and like a dark red tunic underneath. I think that's the energy that I'm bringing here.
Sword and sorcery Santa Claus.
Yep, that's the energy that I'm bringing.
I love it so much. Okay, cool. I will roll a d10 for a
All
prompt.
right.
Nope, I'm going to re-roll that because that was a 5. An 8. A moment alone.
Great.
Works out.
So, the thing I want to propose then is, in kind of like King Arthur Pendragon style, like the court has started, right? Like the Solstice Court. Everyone has kind of gathered in a big circle and people are sharing their stories, which is the perfect opportunity for two people to sneak off.
Yeah. You know, for just casual reasons.
Just buds being buds.
Just good old friends.
Just
sneaking
friends.
off.
You know, that's what friends do.
Okay.
So the question, I think we plan to meet here.
Okay, yeah.
I think this was a planned meeting.
Makes sense to me. It's very much like everything turned out correctly.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so we plan to meet here. Did we plan, how we were gonna meet? Like, were we going to pretend to be here together, or like, are we pretending to not know each other and then casually?
I think we didn't discuss it.
Okay.
I think we didn't discuss it because I think that it starts with me swirling my cape and turning a corner and seeing you and like leaning against a wall and being like, so what was what was the story you gave? What's your reason for being here?
And I think Vesper is kind of like straightening out her. I think she's in dark blue. It's very dark blue fur trimmed coat. Says, I said that I was a merchant, and I may have made a mention that I was looking for, companionship or something like that.
Traveling monster hunter. It seemed like the easiest option.
I think Vesper looks up and down. Monster hunter in all red.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's half of monster hunting is presentation, or at least that's what they said when they looked at the outfit. I wasn't sure if they were making fun of me.
I think I'll just like pat your arm, in a very like loving way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sure they meant nothing by it.
Well, that's how I'm choosing to take it. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Is work treating you all right?
Yes, it is less fun than I would like these days. It's a lot, and I kind of I look around and I'm just like, it feels like the forces of survival are powerful enough that honestly I feel a little redundant.
Redundant? Really?
Who has time to admire beauty when survival is more pressing?
Well, I think that's what makes beauty all the more important. A reminder of why they should try to survive.
And I think at that moment I kind of like pull you in a little bit and I'm like, thank you. I needed to hear that and I appreciate it.
Think Vesper, I'll take, I'll lift up my hand to kind of, touch your cheek. This hand is wooden. And not nearly as elegant.
Mm-hmm.
and probably a little cold.
Mhm. I don't recoil, but I do wince, and I'm like, it's cold. It's fine.
I'm sorry about that.
Oh, it is what it is. It's part of it's part of what makes you you, and therefore I love it.
I think Vesper will quickly look around and kind of like take note of everyone else being very busy with everything. Do you want to maybe go look at the stars?
I would love that. But first, I do have something. And I reach into a pouch and I pull out like a tiny little like baby shrub. And I'm like, they started giving gifts. I figured we made it another year. Work hasn't. And I kind of stopped myself from finishing that thought. Well, work has been fine. And we're here. We may as well, I think, celebrate.
And I smile wildly at that. And just very carefully take the shrub. I didn't realize we were doing gifts.
I didn't have a better way. I mean, we haven't seen each other in a few months, so I didn't have a real better way to suggest it, which is to say it's fine. I wasn't expecting anything. You're here. That's more than enough.
I'll look up to you. Can I kiss you?
I would love that.
Yeah. And I will lean up and kiss you.
And I think as that happens, the candles in the hall flicker a little brighter. Like I believe I was promised stars.
You were promised stars. And yeah, we'll take your hand and pull you outside.
I love that. And I think the scene closes out with us looking up at the stars and just kind of watching and waiting and wondering what comes next.
Yay. All right. Question time.
Yes.
I am going to ask, how do you say goodbye?
I think I say goodbye by, I think we're watching the stars and I'm like, so, you said you were looking for companionship? I think I can help with that. And I hop up, like, and I think I hop up and I see, like, people starting to come out and I hop up and I yell, attention, I am being called off to battle with a creature, crap, names, I'm not good at names. Grendel, I'm here to fight a monster called Grendel, and, my dear friend here needs, a traveling party to accompany her, where are you going? Where are you headed next? What's your next assignment? Do you need help?
Yes. Towards, just like, oh god. Down south.
They're looking at us. I need a direction.
South.
To the southern reaches, and a bunch of very sort of drunk-ish, brigands are like, south it is! I'm like, at least you've got company, right?
Not the same without you, but yes.
I appreciate that. And then I'm like, I must go and battle the mother of I didn't say mother before. What did I? Grendel's mother.
I think Vesper's trying real hard not to laugh during this. Just like, yes, this very serious quest.
Are you looking forward to seeing me again?
Yes. And looking forward to showing how the plant has grown.
I love that. That's very good.
Yay. Awesome. I think that's good.
I do as well.
Yeah. Another scene, or shall we move on to the ending?
Let's do one more scene, I think.
All right. Again from the top.
All right.
What time period are we in?
So I have a suggestion for time period.
Okay.
Because the transition in my head is very specifically like transitioning on that plant. And I was like, how big do I want that plant to be?
Yeah.
And so in my head, I immediately thought like going with the love analogy, like what's the biggest we can make that tree? That segued directly into a California redwood, and then that tied into my love of the aesthetic, of just all things aesthetic. And so I would like to posit that we are in 1960s California and are in peak hippie aesthetic.
Yes.
I need to know what these characters look like really specifically in 60s hippie attire.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, 1960s. Oh, God.
Like peak Woodstock.
Yeah.
I think I'm wearing a leather fringe jacket.
Oh my God, yes.
That's for sure. Yep, leather fringe jacket. Flowing blonde, like feathered blonde hair. And I think the dew around me has specifically taken on a rainbow color. Like the light, like a kind of like rainbow prism effect, and it just is a little bit rainbowy because it's a little trippy and it's the 60s, and I can specifically get away with it.
Yeah, like any other time and you would not be able to get away with that.
And I think my pronouns are she, her here.
Awesome. I think Vesper is I think definitely has like the peasant blouse thing going on. Except instead of plain white, it's this blue tie-dyed situation. Followed with some intense flared pants.
Yeah, gotta have the flared pants.
You gotta.
I think I have a very cool motorcycle.
Yeah. I think Vesper also had like a pair of great sunglasses.
You gotta.
Yeah, I love that.
All right. I'm gonna roll it. Oh, go ahead.
Where are we in the world? We're in California?
Yeah. I think we are among the redwoods because I think we are seeing the tree.
Okay, yeah. So we're the mundane place we're in is in the forest. Who else is around? Is this like a hippie commune that's happening?
I think it.
Or is it like a bunch of hikers?
So I think it's a hippie commune aesthetic. But do we want them to be angelic or demonic in nature?
Ooh. Interesting.
Or is it perhaps a little of both?
I think it's a little of both.
Okay. I like that.
It's a little of both, and it's one of those we don't talk about it.
Yeah. And so our D10, our scene prompt is 8. 8's a moment alone. We're going to re-roll that. 7, a story.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like that ties really nicely into the fact that I think we've not fully answered the questions of, or at least we have not fully answered the question of when you valued people over a cause.
Yeah.
Okay. That feels good.
Okay.
So this is the story. This is the story of when I truly fell in love with you.
Okay.
Like that.
Okay, cool. So I think we open up our scene. It's probably later in the day. And we're this giant redwood forest. But I think we both know which of these trees is our tree. How do we know it's our tree?
I think it is that the moss that grows on it is just a little bit like, it has almost like a metallic shine to it that you can only catch from certain angles, like at certain times of day. But if you see it, it kind of like has a faintly metallic glow to it. A sheen, if you will.
Yeah. It's just constantly, like, people, like, the mundane people are always just like, oh, wow, that's a really shiny tree.
Oh, shiny tree. That's weird. You see the shiny tree? Super weird.
It's really weird. Scientists aren't able to figure out why it does that.
One was quoted as saying, best we can figure, it's just shiny.
Okay, cool. So, I think we're at the base of our shiny tree.
Yep.
I think we, like, subtly guided everyone here, but, like, didn't go, yes, we will sit at our tree.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're not supposed to be a thing.
And I think I'm sitting with my back to the tree, like, watching, like, a communal fire that, like, everyone is kind of around and chatting with and playing guitars around and all that kind of, like, commune stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. And at some point, I think we're all, sitting and chatting, and I stand up at some point. And go, well, little bit of a, how about a little bit of a story?
I have a story, but you're not gonna love it.
No?
No, you see, I heard from a friend who heard from a friend who heard from a personification of time who heard from a friend that, some forces are mobilizing. This is talk, but it's all talk and hearsay. It's a story, but I don't like hearing that type of story.
Well, war is always bad.
It's
as exciting as it is sometimes.
Sometimes, loath as I am to admit it. There was that time. Do you remember? Do you remember the rooftops? The rooftops on the Paris mansion. The rapier battle.
I certainly do.
Good times. I still don't know how you balanced on that. I still don't know how you balanced on the clock tower.
I'll do like a little bit of a flourish bow. Just balance.
Yeah, well,
and talent, maybe.
A little bit, perhaps.
But and I look around at all the other people, who are both angelic and demonic and are putting aside that difference. I hope not. I hope that it's just a story and that not another battle again.
I wish I could hope the same things. I wish I had that. I'm sorry, I'm being a downer.
It's okay. If we can't hope to avoid conflict, then maybe we can hope that we can take care of each other. And that one day, and I gesture around, this will just be the new normal.
It would be great.
Yeah.
It feels like it's right there. It feels like it's here, and yet, I don't know. I don't know.
And I think at this point I sit down next to you, probably with my my legs draped over yours. Physical contact is very normal.
Sure.
Normalized around here. No, there might be a few glances from around, but like nobody says anything.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes think that above and below forget that we all have feelings and lives. And, moments like these.
I kind of look around and I'm like, I think you're onto something. I think, and I think maybe we forget that we have moments like these, or at least, I don't know, maybe I forget that. Maybe I forget that we have these moments until they're gone, and maybe I shouldn't think so far ahead about a thing that a friend heard from a friend, heard from a friend, heard from a personification of time, heard from a friend, heard from a friend.
Well, worrying is a normal thing. Feelings and all. But, I guess it's my job to remind you, then, that we are here, right now, with our feelings in our time, in this moment, in whatever future moments, just caring.
I think that sounds okay to me. Now, I would propose that maybe we get up and have some fun, but I cannot while your legs are there.
I think I look down and, I don't move.
Fair enough. And I reach over and I grab your kind of, I picture you as sitting on my, sitting on the side where grabbing your left hands means kind of pulling you, the far way over, which I guess would be sitting on my right. I'm trying to mime the logistics in my head.
Yeah.
So I kind of grab your left arm and I pull it so that you're clearly holding me. What does your left hand look like here?
Ooh. I think it's wooden again, a little more articulated.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's been painted.
Mm.
I think people have been painting on it.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think I grab your left hand specifically and I pull it into a holding me and I'm like, well, I can't get up. You've pinned me down. There's nowhere I can go.
I've trapped you.
You've trapped me. You've bested me again. Damn you, demon. And I lean back and I finally just put my hands behind my head and you see my posture change and I look out and I'm like, this is nice. It's nice having everybody here.
Yeah, and I think I lie down as well and kind of just tuck my head into the crook of your neck. Yeah. This is nice.
We should do it again sometime.
I'm sure we'll have many more.
And I think as we both say that, we look out at the fire, and I think that's the close of the scene. And I know exactly what I want to ask you.
All right.
I want to ask what promise you make me.
Oh. I promise to take you to every place where there's been a battle and have a nice, peaceful time there so that we can create new memories.
I love it.
I'm going to say, are you looking forward to seeing me again?
Yes and no. No, because I know the context on which we will see each other the next time we see each other. Yes, in that I know that the next time I see you is probably the safest that we will be in the coming in the coming conflict. I know that if we see each other, that means that we can be certain that we are looking out for each other and ensuring that we are safe together.
I like that. All right. And I guess we'll move on to the ending of the game.
I love it.
So the text of the ending says, "You have been together for eons, finding the small moments you were able to steal away from the watchful eyes of the powers that be. But something had changed. Perhaps someone spotted you, or something gave it away. Perhaps duty calls, was the end of days. There are 3 things that you both know. You love each other. The powers that be most definitely wouldn't approve of your relationship. And there's only one place that is safe to meet. Earth. Do you choose to stay together against all odds?
I know my answer.
I know my answer as well.
Good. My answer is without a moment of hesitation.
Yes.
And I think that if I may set, an epilogue scene of us staying together against all odds.
Yes, absolutely.
It is after it is even further into the distant future. It is the two of us, wrapped up in each other, like holding each other and smiling, and I'm like, you know what? I must say I do have regrets, and that is that I don't think we found enough opportunities to do this in the time before. And I think as I'm saying that, like, it like pans out a little bit, and we are in a very obvious stone bunker, and like we look out the window, and the opening to Terminator is happening. And there's also angels and demons involved as the singularity went hot. And so it's like we're just like, hey, you know what? We're happy. That's what matters.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much.
It's just outside. It's just like the most metal scene imaginable. Like angels lancing Terminators with their wings fully unfurled, and it's just
teaming up with demons who are setting them on fire and melting them.
It's just like, you know what? To hell, like to forget about them.
Oh, that's so good.
That's a very good ending.
Them. Oh, that's so good.
That's a wonderful game. Thank you so much for playing it with me. I am blushing. It is a good game.
Yay, thank you so much for playing with me.
This is good.
Yeah, it's a good, sweet game.
I love it. I think we need more of them.
Yeah, they're real good. But yeah, I love how this game can be incredibly wholesome or incredibly stabby.
Yep. Oftentimes it's the same game.
Oftentimes the same game. You'll go with a lot more roller coaster the more scenes you do. Yeah, but these two are very cute.
I like them a lot.
Yeah.
Kienna, thank you so much for playing with me. This was a blast.
Yay. Thank you so much.
So real quick before we wrap up, where can people find you and your work online?
Yeah, you can find me over on Twitter at Kienna S. That's Kiennas. Best way to figure what I do, because I kind of bounce around on the internet, doing everything from streaming to writing to just kind of shouting into the general void. That is the internets. You can also find me on Patreon. Same thing, patreon.com/KiennaS if you like my work and want to support me. And you can find my self-published games like Heaven or Hell on my itch.io page, which is, again, kiennas.itch.io. I'm very consistent in my branding.
You know what? That is an underrated skill, and I appreciate it. I respect it. So, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was an absolute delight. And for now, I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me. Thanks, past me. And thanks again to Kienna for coming on the show. That game was so much fun to play and to listen to. I loved it. It was wonderful. Be sure to check the show notes for more information about neither Heaven nor Hell, as well as Kienna's other work. And be sure to follow Kienna on Twitter at KiennaS. Then while you're on Twitter, follow us at Party of One Pod. Like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/PartyOfOnePodcast. If you enjoyed the show, consider leaving us a nice iTunes review, a Podchaser review, Podbean, whatever you're listening on probably has some kind of review function. But I will say that the 3 that make me particularly happy are iTunes, Podchaser, and Stitcher, only because those are the ones that land in my inbox, so I directly see them. You can also hang out with us on our Discord at bit.ly/PartyOfOneDiscord. Talk to us about Gritty, about wrestling, about the show, whatever you want to talk about. I'm around. Now, this is normally where I would say you can also support the show financially on Patreon or Ko-fi or PayPal, but frankly, given our current situation, there are frankly artists that need that money a little bit more, so I'm kind of putting the Patreon on hold for a month or two, so Instead, I'm going to tell you to go to a few other people's Patreons and support them instead. If you like this show, consider going to patreon.com/closetchampion. Kate and Ophidian are frequent guests on the show. They are two of my favorite people. They are people who are deserving of your financial support. I really love them. I can't recommend Kate's music enough. Ophidian's wrestling and art making videos. Go back them, support them, back them. The other thing you can do is go to the One Shot Safety Net Work Relief Fund on GoFundMe. The short of it is the other podcast I produce, All My Fantasy Children, which I'll talk about in a second. Aaron is out of work at the moment, and this is a fund from the One Shot Network to directly support Aaron, as well as some other friends of the show, Ali Grauer, Drew Mazursky, Bianca Zelda. A few other people I think are being added to this because things are kind of rough right now. Basically, the One Shot Network is raising money to make sure that members of the network are taken care of when they are out of work, when their income has been impacted by the situation. So if you have the funds to spare it, if you were a Patreon backer previously or are currently a Patreon backer, now that I'm putting that on hold, put that money towards one of these things to make up for that. That is a way that you can directly support this show, is by making sure that my friends are taken care of. That is what I am asking of you personally. Anyway, thank you. I will throw some more links in future episodes for other people that you can support that I would appreciate. Anyway, moving on. All My Fantasy Children. AMFC, a podcast on the One Shot Podcast Network, hosted by me and my best friend in the world, Aaron Catano Saez, is a world-building, character creation, and storytelling podcast inspired by tabletop RPGs and powered by you. Every week, we take a listener-submitted prompt, we spin it into an original fantasy character, and we populate a shared universe one story at a time. New episodes drop every Friday-ish at oneshotpodcast.com. Party of One is produced and edited, as always, by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Mega Ran featuring the D&D Sluggers. And the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, coming onto the show as a guest, or press coverage, you can reach me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And that's it for me. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on, everybody.